All praise, all glory, all honors most certainly do. To Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, peace to you in the name of Jesus. This is your brother Elisha Israel of the household of faith. I always count it you a blessing every time that I can come before you to preach the word of God. Never ever do I count it as a light thing to do so. Good to be before you once again. Today, I want to talk about a couple things. Get my tardiness. One is just real briefly. I talked about the other day how everywhere you turn, black men's masculinity is under attack. I gave you the example of the NBA players, and today, like, I don't watch TV. I don't sit down and watch TV. I can't remember the last time I sat down and watched a TV show that comes on. But in looking on the internet, you see news, and because journalism has become such a circus, it's all about they're not really dealing with real news. You see, they're dealing with just things they can talk about for ratings. But in looking at that stuff, trying to decipher through all of the nonsense, you see certain things that are relevant, I should say. And then just thinking about black masculinity and how it's under attack, and even the culture is under attack, right? So this nation is the world, really, not just this nation, but the world, is falling further into decadence, more decadence. I just wanted to read something to you. This is from not my favorite network, BET. It's www.bet.com under music. And it says in this write-up, Genuine refused to kiss a trans woman on live TV. And that's not the part that was, I'm thinking, okay, whatever. This is, who knows what's going on. But then the next part is what got me. It said, and now the internet is at war. And then it goes on to say, some are arguing on whether the singer's latest actions were transphobic or not, because he didn't want to kiss a man. You see what happens when you allow anything to go forth? So now you're an issue. So people have the audacity to argue the point that you're a problem because you don't want to kiss a man. And I saw the little excerpt on YouTube. It was about 2 minutes. I guess it's a show maybe it's overseas somewhere. And the man is sitting there next to him. And really, you could say he was kind of, let's put it like this. If Genuine was a woman and that guy was a man, that would have been sexual harassment in the United States. But nevertheless, it says singer Genuine has sparked a heated debate on Twitter after the recent episode of Celebrity Big Brother UK. In the latest episode, Genuine seemingly rejected fellow housemate. I don't even know how to pronounce the name. The controversy stems from a conversation between this individual and the singer in which she asked whether he would date a trans man. You would date me, yeah. This man, he said, who is a trans woman, but it's a man. Herself asked, and he said, not if you were a trans. He said no. And then I watched it, and he continually said, I'm a woman. He kept saying that. But no, you're not a woman. You are a male. And why should he have to even entertain that? He doesn't have to entertain that question. And then grab him and try to kiss him, and then you storm off the set. Why am I talking about this? Because this world is going to hell. It really is. And some of the things you hear about and some of the things that are going on are so outrageous. Sometimes I hear, I don't believe it. But then again, we living in the last days. So now, on top of that, he's getting flack for not letting another man kiss him. Are we serious? Now, granted, I'm not for you putting your hands, just going out arbitrarily hurting somebody, doing anything to somebody unwarranted. I'm not an advocate of that. However, nobody should be touching you that you don't want to touch you. Whether it be man, woman, whoever. All right. So it says Twitter has split in two sides. One side is outraged by Genuine's rejection, suggesting that his unwillingness to date trans women, which is it's a man. See, you can't change biologically. You can cut off whatever you want to cut off, but biologically you are still a man. He says, it called him transphobic and bigoted. Then on the other hand, people are saying he has a choice to date who he wants. Man, the fact that this is even a discussion shows, number one, the shallowness of the media, but number two, just how morally decadent this world is becoming. I just saw that. I couldn't, sometimes I just can't believe some of the things I come across in the news and so-called news. That's a problem because the news is, it's real news you could really talk about in a half hour, but because they want ratings, they have to talk about it 24 hours a day, and they have to come up with all kind of things. But certain things like this really show you where society is headed. Like I said, straight to hell. So that's all for that. I just found that disturbing. The next thing I want to talk about is a question. It wasn't a question. Forgive me. It wasn't a question. It was a statement, and it was a statement. And it speaks to, again, how it's a warped mindset. Okay? It's a warped mindset, but it's a mindset. And the reason I read some of these questions, because I don't read them all. The reason I'm doing this one is because this is the mindset of so many Christians. It takes me back. So the title is Understanding Love, Thy Neighbor, and Racism. Right, so the individual watched as they commented on the lesson I did, talking about what we have experienced in this country. Okay, the hardships, the slavery, the Jim Crow, the lynching, the sexual assault on our women, all these things. So the just the disrespect that we have endured. And from that, I got this. I'm gonna read this comment, and then I'm gonna break it down, because really it's the mindset of so many people, and it really put me in the mindset of those people who were in church praying, and in that church, and then Dylan Roof came in and they invited him in, and he killed them all except for one, so that individual could go and tell everybody. Right? That's a heinous act. But also what I found disturbing was the response of those individuals who died, their family members. And I mean no disrespect, but to sit there and say, I forgive you, I forgive. The man has not asked for forgiveness. I love you, I forget. Christianity has destroyed you. Christianity has destroyed you. So when somebody would come and literally kill your family member, and they ain't said nothing, they say they're white supremacists, they trying to start race war, and immediately you say, I forgive you. That mindset is crazy. And that's not what the Bible's teaching you. That's not what love thy neighbor is about. That's not even what forgiveness is about. Because when you're talking about forgiveness, the individual should ask for forgiveness. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He stood there, didn't say anything while y'all crying, and rightfully so, y'all lost your loved ones. But then you talking about, I forgive you, I forgive you. That's the person should have first asked for forgiveness. And then the judge gets up there and says, hey, these people are not the only victims. His family is a victim too. So that's disrespect. He just kills a family member. They disrespect. The police took him to get something to eat after they caught him. Some more disrespect. Anyway, I'm gonna read this letter. It says, this comment. I don't know the person's name. I'm not gonna even, because either they are totally just ignorant, which means you just don't know any better, or they're diabolical and they're and full of guile. I can't understand which one, because you either one or the other with this. It says, hi, my brother. Racism and hate does not come from a people, Racism and hate is a spirit. It comes from Satan. It's a seed that enters the body and then grows into sin and finally death. To overcome racism and hate is to pray for those who are racist and hate. Bind and destroy the spirit of racism and hate. Then you will free the racist and the hater. Don't see yourself as a color or a religion or a culture. Just see yourself as a human. God is love, my brother. See Christ as a bountiful tree full of good fruit, where all the birds of all sorts come and feed on it bounty. I'm just reading it as it is. Come and feed on it bounty fruit. I think he means bountiful fruit, maybe. I'm not sure. You will never understand love, caps, all caps. For as long as you see black, all caps, and white, all caps, see only human beings, all caps, my brother. God open your eyes and bless you, brother. I am a black man, by the way. I love you, white man. I love all my brothers and sisters. All right. So that's really disturbing. So I'm going to just break this down. Because that's not, you know, when you're talking about love thy neighbor, and that's not what that's talking about. When you think about what we've experienced in this country, that's not, you would say love your enemies, I should say. Love thine enemies. That's not what that's talking about. That's not talking about somebody come and take your wife out of your cabinet, your slave quarters. You working for free for man. You got beat early. He come and rape your wife. And he, I love you. That's not what that's talking about. That's not talking about, man, just take your kids, snatching from off the mother's breast and just sell them. I love you, master. I love you. No, that's not what that's talking about. That is not what that's talking about. So let's break this down. First of all, let's talk about racism real quick. I'm going to break it. In the first part, you say, how, my brother, racism and hate does not come from a people. Racism and hate is a spirit. It comes from Satan. Okay. What scripture is that? What scripture is that where it says racism is a spirit? A spirit, you mean a thought. But all the thoughts of a man's mind, they're spirit. According to the Bible, the word of God is a spirit. Your thoughts are spirit. The breath of life is spirit. The angels is a spirit. God is a spirit. So what are you talking about? When you say racism and hate is a spirit, it comes from Satan. Okay, let me tell you what racism is, though. Racism is racial prejudice plus power. Racism is not me, not a black man calling somebody a name. Okay? You might have racial prejudice, but if you don't have power, you can't be racist. That's number one. People don't understand that. That's why you have this thing with black people are called racist all the time. You know, they can hate, for example, which I'm not saying to do, I don't advocate this, but they can hate somebody based solely on their race. That doesn't make them racist because they don't have any power. We can say they could kill that person if they hate. That's true. But if they kill them just like anybody else, they're going to jail. But see, when you have power, when you got true racism, you are part of the dominant group who when they do something to another group, you can murder somebody in the street like a dog and then walk away. Through the court system, get off. That's racism. Okay? And racism is a concept that is about 600 years old, roughly 500, 600 years old, that was used to justify the enslavement of people. That's what it is. That's when it started. It's not like it's something that's been here for that, quite frankly, that long. Okay? Because nations didn't even see themselves in that way. Okay? That's a very relatively new concept. And let me say this, if racism is a spirit, ableism, you know, discrimination against people who are disabled as a spirit, ageism, people, discrimination against older people, classism, that's all evil spirits from Satan? Or it's just things that man do from the evil, the wickedness of man? He says it's a seed that enters the body and then grows into sin and finally death. What you're doing, first of all, don't add, because it sounds like, and I'm just saying what it sounds like. It sounds like you're reading James 1, where it says, James 1:14, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bring forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Is that what you're talking about? See, that's talking about your carnal nature. It's talking about your carnal nature, your lust, whatever your heart's desire is that will cause you to sin. That's not talking about racism per se. So don't try, people that do that, add the scriptures or misconstrue the scriptures to use them how they want them to be used. I'll give you an example. Martin Luther King used to do that all the time in his speeches. He used the scriptures that were talking about true liberation of a people, where you would be an actual nation, and interpose that upon the idea of integration. This Bible not talking about integration. This Bible is actually talking about being sanctified, being set apart. And when it's talking about Israel, who are black people that have been scattered into slavery all over the world, that's talking about them being a nation. Okay? So it says to overcome racism and hate is to pray for those who are racist and hate. Let me tell you something. To overcome racism, it's a matter of power. It's not you. You're not going to overcome. Now, if you praying to God, which you should do, to the true and living God, first of all, you need to turn from your sin, turn from iniquity, acknowledge your sin, pray to God for him to deliver you over your enemies. Yes, because he is the ultimate power source, which is what I say on this show. Because you can't buy enough guns. You don't have the weaponry. Just like Israel, when they were in Egypt, didn't have the military might of the physical, but rather God delivered them. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you need. You need to tap into the true power source. See, it's all about power. Who has power to do what? And right now, people have power to deprive you of jobs, deprive you of housing, deprive you of wealth, deprive you of freedom, deprive you of even your identity, of education, etc. They have the power to do it. What you need, America is a racist country. It always has been from its inception. What you need is power. And I'm saying that power is not coming through voting, right? People talking about who might run in the next election. Who cares? Because that's not us getting true freedom. We need to do black business. What you need to do is tap into the true power source, which is your God. That's what you need to do. Talking about praying. Unless you're talking about praying for your enemies, unless you're talking about this here, let's go to Psalms 143rd division. Psalms 143. Unless you're talking about this, you ain't talking about nothing. This is David. This is Psalms 143 and verse 9. It said, deliver me, O Lord, from mine enemies. I flee unto thee to hide me. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God. Thy spirit is good. Lead me into the land of uprightness. Quicken me, O Lord, for thy name's sake. For thy righteousness' sake, bring my soul out of trouble. Then he says, and of thy mercy, cut off mine enemies. He prayed that he would cut the enemies off. Then it said, and destroy all them that afflict my soul, for I am thy servant. I can get with this prayer. And we're going to find out what he's talking about when he's saying love your enemies. He's not talking about the man that will come and lynch you and burn you alive. I'm going to just pray for you. He coming to the night riders coming. Well, we go pray for them. They coming, they busting out all the window panes in your little shack. They drag your wife out. Drag your kids out. Oh, we just gonna pray for you. I'm gonna tell you something. You come for me and mine. I'm not going quietly into the night. What? That's what I'm saying. Christianity has worked your mind. You have no. It's always you that's supposed to be like that. You're supposed to take anything. The only time that you see that is when you talking about the spreading of the gospel. Persecution. You saw that persecution for the gospel's sake. But somebody walking down the street, somebody just walk up to you and smack your wife in the face, you'll be a fool to start praying for him right then. Well, I'm going to pray for you. He smack her again, kick her in the stomach. With your baby inside. I'm just going to pray for... No, you actually... you not defending your wife is a problem. See, that's why nonviolence is... You need violence sometimes. And I'm not advocating violence. Sometimes you do need to defend yourself. I believe in self-defense. I don't know where that comes from. I know where it comes from, misinterpretation of the scriptures. But so you mean to tell me we just gonna love some Nazis come down the street and your mama's, your grandmother, you walk with your grandmother and they take a cane and start beating her with it, what you gonna do? If it means your life, you're supposed to defend Big Mama's life with your life. Who told you you're supposed to just sit down and do that? Christianity. As they enslaved the world under Christianity. As they colonized the world under Christianity. They made you into a fool. They made you into a fool. That's why even, I was talking about Martin Luther King earlier, remember that? I couldn't even get through Selma. I tried to watch that movie. And there's that scene where Oprah Winfrey, she's the elder woman, and she's getting beat up, and they're about to intervene. He tell them, no, don't intervene. Let her get beat up. That's not moral. The men of that community should have defended that woman. What you letting some other men beat up your elder for? Christianity. To integrate with some people. Yeah, okay. This is Psalms 144 and verse 1. This is what David said again. He said, blessed be the Lord, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Call out to your God as you striking them down, striking those men down, fighting against them, defending your family. You in a village peacefully, and you ain't got nowhere else to go. Your back is the sea, nowhere to run. And then some men coming, they coming to rape and pillage. What you supposed to do? They coming with their swords and you getting on your knees to pray. Yeah, get on your knees to pray, to go to war. And pray that you will be victorious in war, which is what you see in the Bible. See, what you don't understand, you talking about, what Jesus said. Don't you know the one we call Jesus was God in the Old Testament? That's the one they was dealing with. That's the same one that said kill all the Amalekites. Don't leave any of them alive. He's the one that they were praying. He's the one that was with them when they was going to war. Don't you understand that? No, that was the one who Moses was talking to before he was manifested in the flesh. That's why he said in John 8, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. Because that's what he told him reading Exodus. He said, well, when they ask what's your name, what should I tell them? He says, tell them I am that I am. That's what they were dealing with. We're gonna get into what he means by love that name. So he says, bind and destroy the spirit of racism and hate, then you will free the racist and the hater. Wait a minute. The racist and the hater historically are the ones that are binding other people. What are you talking about? That's why I say either this is sheer ignorance or it's full of God to keep you with that same mindset. Why do you think, I keep saying that, even Dr. Martin Luther King, who I believe was sincere, but his program was not the way. Why do you think they kept perpetuating that? And even what they perpetuated, they left the radical stuff out. When he became more and more radical, they left that out. When he called for a redistribution of wealth, left that out. We just want to all join hands, right? Somebody got all the wealth. They oppressing you. They doing all these things to you. We just want to hold hands and pray. No, give me power. Give me power. He said, bind and destroy the spirit of racism and hate. Then you will free the racist and the hater. I'm not concerned about freeing the racist and the hater. I'm concerned about freeing my people. I'm not concerned about the racist and the hater. Because you ignorant if you hating somebody based on just how much melanin they got in their body. Right? That's foolishness. And that's you don't want people to be like that, but why is it that I'm trying to free somebody and then they're the ones that are doing all the enslaving? Shouldn't we try to get free? Physically, spiritually, mentally, shouldn't we be trying to get free? That's what we're trying to do. Coming to the knowledge of ourselves. Once we don't see yourself as black and white. We need to see ourselves who we are. We the people of this book. Once we understand that, we know we God's chosen. What does God want us to do? Turn back to him. See, that's the way. I don't care about the racist and the hater per se. So it said, don't see yourself as a color or religion or culture. Just see yourself as a human. First of all, I never said I saw myself as a color. I never said I identified with a specific religion. He gave us a way of life. Second, or a culture. Culture is derived from, in our case, from the Torah, from the instruction that he gave us. So we know how to walk, talk, dress, and act, and eat. We know these things. Just see yourself as a human. I understand I'm a human. But the racist would see me as subhuman. He's the one that's not seeing humanity. He's the one that's lynching. He's the one that's infiltrating police departments across the country. The Nazis are doing white supremacist groups are doing that. Infiltrating police departments across the country. He's the one that was it Alabama? In those police departments, some of those police departments looking for black men with no record so they could get them in the system. See, I'm not doing that. He's the one talking about voter suppression. He's the one that perpetuates systemic racism to deny you of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, to deny you of the things that you should have. I'm not doing that. I know I'm a human. Does he know it? No, he don't see. So why does that have to come my way? He said, God is love, my brother. That's true. God is love. But God also hates. We in Psalms, let's stay there. Psalm 78. See, this mindset will keep you a slave. Psalm 78 and verse 59. Psalm 78 and verse 59. I'm gonna pick it up at 56 just to read what Israel, his people, did and see how he felt about them. It says, yet they tempted. Well, I'm gonna pick 55. He cast out the heathen also before them. So now when they went into the promised land, did they pray those people out? They prayed to God, then they went in through warfare and kicked them out. See, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about some foolishness. So even when they sought God before they went to war, and they went to war. It said he cast out the heathen also before them and divided them in inheritance by line and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. So that's what he did for his people. But then it says something. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God and kept not his testimonies. So they were disobedient. And then all these curses fell. The curses of your children being sold, your wives being ravished, you being cast into captivity, economic depravity, you being taken into slavery by way of slave ships and sold as bondmen and bondwomen. That's in Deuteronomy 28. That's what happened to our people. That's biblical prophecy. And it says something. He said, but turned back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow. For they provoked him to anger in their high places and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. So now they worship falsely, right? And they made him jealous. Because like he said, I'm married unto you. The relationship of God and his people is like a man and his wife. A man don't want to see his wife with some other men. Then it says, verse 59, when God heard this, he was wroth and greatly abhorred Israel. So wroth means angry. So why are you talking about God is love? Yes, God is love, but God, we just read, he has jealousy. We just read he has anger. Then we read he abhorred. What is abhorred? Is hatred. That's that same God, the one that's love. See, but he applies it appropriately. See, there's a time to hate. Who told you that you just have to love? Like I said, you come for me and mine in that way, unmerited. It's over for one of us. I don't believe I stay armed. I don't know what these other people preaching or teaching. They teaching you to be soft. They teaching you to be a victim. And I've had instances being a victim of gun violence, right? And I've been in a situation to where a gun will save my life, having it. See, tell this foolishness to somebody else. This is Ecclesiastes 3. It says in verse 8, well, verse 1, it says, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Then it says in verse 8, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. See, it's not time for peace when somebody coming up trying to do something to your wife, trying to abuse your children, trying to rob you, trying to break in your house. Right? They coming in the house to murder and rape, and you on your knees. No, you're supposed to defend your family with your life. Who made you into a pansy? Christianity. Malachi. We don't get to what he meant with love thy enemy. But Malachi, I just want to clear this up, because sometimes, man, for black people in particular, Israel, we got all this love for the enemy, but we hate each other. We hate each other. Who taught, like Malcolm said, who taught you to hate what God made you? And there's a price even for what they've done. We're going to read that too. But this is Malachi 1 and verse 1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. It says, I have loved you, said the Lord. Who did he love? He loved Israel. It said, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob. Then he says, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Don't tell me, God is love, absolutely, but he also hates. If he didn't hate, who? Explain this. This is Mark, the 9th chapter. See, he hates too. Mark 9 and verse, hold on. Actually, let's just read it and get to the point. Luke 12 and verse 4. It says, and I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. Right? So he said, yeah, some people can kill you, can fear them, but you know, that fear gets you doing something you shouldn't do. How you sinning against God, how you bowing down, taking the mark, how you bowing down to the image. But it said, but I will forewarn you whom ye shall fear him, which after he hath killed that power to cast into hell. Yeah, I say unto you, fear him. Is casting you into hell not hatred? Is that condemnation not hatred? It's not love. I love you, therefore go into hell for eternity where the worm died not, the fire is not quenched. That's not love. That's hatred. That's judgment. And it's righteous judgment. It's a warranted hatred. But you've rejected life and wanted darkness rather than life because your deeds were evil. So you got to twist it. It says, see Christ as a bountiful tree. This is the rest of this letter or comment. See Christ as a bountiful tree full of good fruit where all the birds of all sorts come and feed on its bounty fruit. Again, I'm reading it out as it is. I'm not sure what that part means. Then he says, you will never understand love, all caps, as long as you see black, all caps, and white. You don't understand. What are you talking about? Then he says, see only human beings, my brother. Because my people are oppressed, I'm the problem because I mention it. See, that's a warped way of thinking. That's not justice to silence the ones that have, or the descendants of the ones who have experienced slavery, Jim Crow, who are currently experiencing mass incarceration. I'm the problem because I mentioned oppression. Never have you heard me say that I hate anybody based on their race. You never heard me say that. But I'm the problem. Then he said, God, open your eyes. And then he said, I'm gonna throw that in. I'm a black man too. You are lost. You are totally wrong, 100% wrong. Then he says, I love you, white man. I don't know who wrote this. This I can't believe it. But then again, who knows? So I love all my brothers and sisters. Everybody is not your brother and your sister. See, it's two ways. You can pretty much, well, three ways you could be a brother or a sister. Really. By blood. Kinship. All right? So blood ties. Secondly, through ideology. Right? Comrades. Communists, for example. You know, you revolutionaries in some cause. That's a brotherhood. You know, or something that binds you together. You know, at war or something like that. That's a brotherhood. But then, brothers and sisters in the faith, one with Christ. See, that's the strongest and most important bond. Even beyond blood ties and all these other ties. But everybody is not in that. Everybody is not a brother and a sister. If you coming to rape my wife, you coming to do some harm to my children, you coming to shoot my mama, you doing all this stuff, coming to enslave me, you not my brother or my sister. You my straight up enemy, and not an enemy like somebody of your nation that you don't get along with, somebody who don't like you, you don't like them. No, you an enemy that you might need to go to war with. See, that's different. That's not, see, he wasn't talking about he wasn't talking about just anybody. Let's read it. Let's go to let's see. And it's really not necessarily a new concept. This is Matthew chapter 5 and verse 43. It says, ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. Okay, so what you understand, he said it have heard that it had been said. So it seems, because it's not commanded you to hate your enemy. Again, this is not, he would understand this. He refers you to the law. Okay. This is the same law or the same instruction that when you read in Deuteronomy 7, he says, man, when you kick those people out, tear down their altars, totally destroy them, don't have any mercy. So was he talking about them? Or was he talking about your brother in the nation? So he said, yeah, I've heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. It hath been said, but it's not commanded for you to hate your enemy. But it said, but I said to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, and do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that, which despitefully use you and persecute you. Okay, let's go to now you do see that precedent when you're talking about persecution, right? I'm talking about for the gospel's sake. Okay? But let's go to Exodus, the 23rd chapter. Exodus 23. This is Exodus 23. We're going to pick it up, or Exodus 22 and verse, let's see. Yeah, it's Exodus 23, excuse me. Exodus 23 and verse 4. It says, if thou meet thine enemy's ox or his ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again. Okay, so now is this talking about the man that's coming to rob you? Because even the Bible talks about if somebody come and rob, they break in the house and they get killed in the process, or their blood is shed, oh well. And no business breaking in that house. This is not talking about that. This is talking about somebody you might have an issue with. Okay? So it says, neither shalt thou, well, it says, verse 4, if thou meet thine enemy's ox or his ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again. If thou see the ass of him that hateth thee lying under his burden and wouldest forbear to help him, thou shalt surely help with him. So he said, help him. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy the 22nd chapter. Deuteronomy 22 and verse 1 second. Give me 1 second. Deuteronomy 22 and verse 1. It's similar to the law of brotherhood. Deuteronomy 22 and verse 1. It says, thou shalt not see thy brother's ox or his ass go astray and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt in any case bring them again unto thy brother. And if thy brother be not nigh unto thee, right, or near you, thou shalt bring it unto thine own house, and it shall be with thee until thy brother seek after it, and thou shalt restore it to him again. Okay, so that's a similar thing. It's a similar thing. So, in other brothers, you're not supposed to, you don't have to require evil for evil. If you're an enemy or somebody's not your friend, because everybody's not going to like you, right? That doesn't mean, you have to be evil towards them. But that's in the regular circumstances in the human relations. Like, for example, you could be on your job, somebody might not like you. You don't have to do anything to them, right? You just, but that's a whole different situation than somebody coming to rape your wife. And why I keep saying that, because this is what these people came and did. Systematically. Come sell your children. That's war. They made whatever, that's war. You understand? That's war. He's not talking about that. He's not talking about that. One more place. Let me find it real quick. Yeah, but see, Christianity has made a fool out of people. Christianity has made it to where you could just do anything to the oppressed, because that's the oppressor's interpretation of what's written. And they're using the Bible for that. This is Proverbs 25. This is what I want. Proverbs 25. This is Proverbs 25 and verse 21. It says, if thine enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat. And if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. It said, for thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee. Now, you got to understand, that's not talking, it's certain instances where it's time for straight up warfare. It's time to fight. It ain't, you have to apply that appropriately. That's like I say, you got a neighbor, for example, you got a neighbor, somebody live next to you, hey, see, that's the one thing about that. That's regular, normal human relations. Sometimes, for whatever reason, might not get along, don't even know why, everybody's not going to get along. Even the saints sometimes have to separate themselves. You saw that with Paul. But if, let's say, his dog get out, you know, he don't like you for whatever, his dog get out, you get his dog, you bring him back, knock on his door, hey man, your dog got out the gate again. Here you go. See, that might squash all that nonsense, right? That's a whole different situation if somebody's coming in to do you bodily harm. That's a whole different situation. That's a whole different situation. So, you know, this foolishness that was written, because it's not, it's ignorance. It's ignorance. And I can, you know, that interpretation, you understand, you know, you never see America doing that. You know? You never see America, I'm gonna pray for his enemy. They go over there and destroy their enemies. That's what they do. And they just, a lot of times, just starting stuff. But you, the one who's catching the brunt of all that oppression, you the one, you supposed to get on your knees before them and shine their boots, I guess. I guess. That's why you weak right now. So that's a little bit on understanding love thy neighbor, or love thine enemy, I should say. It says love thy neighbor. It should say love thy enemy. I'll rename it. Love that enemy and racism. That's not talking about just somebody coming to do you some straight up. Yeah, you gotta use wisdom. You can defend yourself. Even the Lord says, matter of fact, let me read this one other verse. One second. This is Luke 22. Luke 22. And this is verse 35. So here the disciples are warned of the conflict to come. It says, and he said unto them, when I sent you without without purse and scrip and shoes, lacked ye anything? And they said nothing. He said, then said he unto them, but now he that hath the purse, let him take it. And likewise his scrip. He that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. What you use a sword for? To defend yourself. What's the modern day sword? That 38. That 357. That 45. That 9mm. For I say unto you that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Lord, behold, here are two swords. And he said unto them, it is enough. Right. So again, you see the precedent when he's talking about persecution. They suffered persecution for the gospel's sake. Right. When they came against him, they didn't fight back for the gospel's sake. When they're preaching, you saw that consistently with the apostles. Right. But on some old straight up just self-defense, he's not talking about that. And I keep mentioning that because you need to protect your humanity. I do want to go to another place, actually. Because this same one, see these people you're talking about, right? And I'm not talking about on an individual level. But as far as nations, there are judgments. Let's go to Joel. He's going to judge these people for what they've done to us as a people. So the same one that said, you know, love, talking about love your name, he's coming back in straight wrath. He's coming to do some serious killing. Let's see what he's going to do. This is Joel 3 and verse 1. It says, for behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. So Israel, who's still scattered in the diaspora, still scattered into slavery, he is going to restore and regather. He says, I will gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's what the Lord judges. It says, and will plead with them there for my people, for my heritage Israel, of whom they have scattered among the nations, a part of my land. He's not going to be that plea. Hey, y'all, please, you know. No, he's going to be straight busting heads. He's going to be destroying. It's going to be dead men from one end of the earth to the very other. The earth is going to be burned, a few men left. He's coming back in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God and that obey not his gospel. That's how he's coming back. That same one that died, right? Jesus, he's coming back in wrath. It says, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. You selling people as mere commodities for a prostitute. You selling people as mere commodities, chattel, so you can get something to drink. See, you're going to pay for that. It says in verse 6, it says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from your border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off. For the Lord hath spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, amongst these nations. He says, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. And all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swans, your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So he's going to do some serious killing at this time. Last place, Zechariah 1. We're going to pick it up at verse 14. Zechariah 1 and verse 14. He says, so the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. See, everything's going good for them. They think, oh, it's all gravy. It's all good. Not understanding you're going to pay. I had an interesting conversation a couple years back with a European. And, you know, I said, do you realize, like, we were talking. He was like, I was like, yeah, you know, one day these nations are going to have to pay for slavery, right? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, they're going to have to pay for what was done. He said, but the people now didn't do it. I said, wait a minute. But understand the consequences of my forefathers. I'm here for what they did. See, the table's going to be turned at that. See, nobody want to deal with that judgment. But it's always the ones that's oppressed. Keep being oppressed. I'm at ease, right? Get on your knees and pray while I kick you in the back of your head. See, that's asinine. And it's not always going to be like that. So it says, not very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. You see? They took it too far. They took it. I mean, you think about you run away in America, because in these Caribbean and different places, like Haiti, the slavery, Brazil, the slavery was even more brutal than it was in the U.S. states, United States. It was more brutal. They had a different approach. They would just work you till you died and bring in more slaves. Here in this country, you run away, they brand your face. You run away, they might chop off a lip. You try to run away again, they might castrate you. This is what they did. And you talking about I'm going to sit down and pray for them? Hold on, stop the press. I'm going to pray to my God to get me out of this situation. Get me out of this situation. I'm trying, because I know you got all the power. I'm going to turn from my sin, turn from my wickedness, because that's why we're in the situation we're in the first place. It ain't because we need to sit out and pray for some racists. We need to stop sinning and turn back to God. We need to stop breaking his law. We're following all these other people that don't know God, and God manifested himself unto us. The greatest irony in the world. It's ironic that the people God manifested himself unto, that he chose to be a kingdom, a nation of priests, have turned to him and served other gods of other nations. Don't know who they are. And then some perpetrators can come and say, they the people. No. You're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay. I did want to read one other verse. Just this mindset, because I meant to read it earlier. I don't remember if I did or not, but I'm going to read it. This mindset about God, like when he was talking about God is love. Yes, God is love, but God also hates. Let's read this here. And he'll bring some destruction upon you. This is Isaiah 45 and verse 5. It says, in verse 7, excuse me. Well, I'm going to read verse 5 so we know clearly what he's talking about. It says, I am the Lord and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. That they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west, that there is none beside me. I am the Lord and there is none else. Then it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So you talking about God is love? Yes, he is love. He is love, and he also hates. He makes peace, but he also brings evil upon you. Brings life, but he also will kill you. Just that same one that's bringing eternal life, he has eternal damnation as well. You see the mindset of people who want to keep you in the dark. So now let me get this straight. You're supposed to just stay oppressed. Because you understand, this individual never got to turn it back to God. But I'm supposed to just pray for the racists. It's all on me. I'm a free the racists. Man, I don't give a damn about freeing the racists. I'm trying to get free. I want my people to be free. What I look like praying to the racists be free. Let my people turn back to their God, so that we would do the things necessary for our true liberation. See, that's our problem. We're playing games. Negroes want to join organizations. Negroes want to hear speeches and have their ears tantalized by sound rhetoric. Negroes want to get in meetings and talk about the state of the union. Negroes want to do all these things. They want to buy black. Negroes want to do all these things. See, if we could just get our economics right, we would just get a degree. How many of our women walking around here thinking they got something because they got a degree? You ain't got nothing. That's the brand of today. See, turn back to your God. Turn back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. Believe in the Messiah. That's liberation. I ain't talking about this blue-eyed, blonde-haired, milky skin one that they gave to you, because that same one they gave you a bunch of false doctrine to go right along with him. I'm not talking about him. That's the one that Paul said. That's another Jesus. Or he's coming in another gospel. That's another spirit perpetuated by false prophets. No. Don't tell me I need to, man, please. I'm praying. Matter of fact, let me show you what you should be praying. Let's go to Daniel. You've lost your mind. I'm speaking rough. But oh well. Let's go to Daniel. One who was in captivity. Let's see what he prayed. This is give me 1 second. This is Daniel And this is chapter 6 and verse 10. Well, actually, hold on. Well, I'm gonna read 10, and I'm gonna read something else too. This is Daniel chapter 6 and verse 10. It says, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did 4 times. Because they made a petition. They tried to set him up, tried to say, hey, you can't pray to anybody else, make any petition to everybody else. But he didn't care because he served God. So why was he praying? This is why he got thrown in the lion's den. You know, the preacher come, Daniel was in the lion's den, but that Negro never tell you how he got in the lion's den. He got in the lion's den because he was praying to the Most High. Now let's go to 1 Kings 8. 1 Kings 8. Your mind is bad. 1 Kings 8. And I just want to read some here. Where it says, sir, because he was in captivity. So why is he praying to Jerusalem? He was praying towards the temple in Jerusalem. The temple was destroyed at that time, but he's praying towards that place. Because when the temple was dedicated, Solomon made this prayer. He says, this is 1 Kings 8 and verse 47. Well, verse 46. It says, if they sin against thee, the they here is talking about the people, Israel, his people. Well, again, our black people that have been scattered into slavery. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy, far or near. Now, these are people that have kidnapped these people and took them into slavery, right? Killed them in war, raped the women. This is what was going on. That's what they do in war. That's the consequences. See, we need to understand the consequences by turning our back on God. Verse 47, yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land, whether they were carried captives. It's time to wake up to your consciousness. Come up and understand who you are. You're the child of God. It says, and repent and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carry them captive, saying, we have sinned and have done perversely. We have committed wickedness. And so return unto thee with all their heart, with all their soul in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. It says, then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause. Cry, hear their cry. And it says, and forgive thy people that have sinned against thee, and all their transgressions. Notice, he never got to none of that. We're just supposed to pray for the oppressor. See, that sounds like, I don't know. Is it me or is it a conspiracy? That sounds like some okie doke to me. I'm looking at this. I'm a black man too. You never know. And the anonymity on YouTube and on social media, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who you're talking to. But let's go back to Daniel. I don't know. Is it me or is it a conspiracy? C-O-N, conspiracy. I don't know. This is Daniel. Go back to Daniel. And I guess this will be the last place. Give me 1 second. This is Daniel. This is Daniel 9. Because, see, he acknowledged the sin of his people when he was praying. This is the prayer. Daniel 9 and verse 3. It says, and I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Lord my God and made my confession. And said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned and have committed iniquity and have done wickedly and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. He says in verse 12, or verse 11, it says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. See, he prayed acknowledging the sins of the people, praying to the Most High. That's what we need to do as a nation. You don't need to sit down and say, Lord, Most High, we pray for all the races to free them from their races. That's the foolish, coon prayer you hear these false prophets praying in these marches. So I'm so sick of Negroes marching, I don't know what to do. Every time something happens, we go to the street, we get a permit to march, we're going to march to 10 o'clock, then we're going to go home. Or we're going to make a ruckus. Nobody's scared of that. It's not even effective. Sit your behind down somewhere and understand what's going on a spiritual level. That's good. And that's understanding love thy enemy and racism. It's always my prayer that you will edify.